It's a warm welcome back to On Cue Billiards in La Mesa. This is the season-ending tournament for the 10-ball league. Round 1, I've drawn Luis Abarca from On Cue 1. Always seem to draw Luis in these tournaments. I think I played him in the 8-ball and in the last 10-ball one as well. So he scratched on the break. I've got ball in hand and looking at the table, I think the 8 went down off the break as well. One's available in the side, but then how do you get onto the 2? It's not available in the bottom right or the left centre, so I'm looking at following forward to get it in the bottom left. The thing about doing that is you're kind of like going across the pocket line, so you do need to get pretty accurate speed control. Just checking if it's doable in the centre. I don't like the angle on that, so I'm just going to push forward here and try and use the long rail on the right just to bounce out and leave myself a 2 in that bottom left as a save. Can get close to straight, it'd be ideal because the 3's hanging on nearby. What rolled into the 2, I was trying to get behind it and kissed it off the rail, so it's not straightforward. I can cut it in that bottom left, but I'll have to draw to try and avoid the 3. And then if I'm going to draw it, I'll probably put a little bit of right hand spin so that I'll get it cue ball to run around the angle and get somewhere near the middle of the table hopefully, so I've got a shot at the 3. I'm just debating whether it's worthwhile playing a safety because it's not a straightforward pot, not necessarily guaranteed shape on the 3, so if I could put Luis in trouble that might be a better course of action, but I don't really see anything. If I were to follow forward and bank the 2 and try and hide the cue ball behind the 9, the 2's probably going to hit the 6, maybe the 7 if it finds the gap between the 6 and the rail, so I'm not sure about that. So I'm back to looking at the pot. All the considerations are done, and I think it's attack. So striking the cue ball around about 5 o'clock on the clock face. I made the pot and the cue ball's come round. It's still a bit thin, this 3. But I do fancy the shot. I'm just going to play it with a trace of right hand spin, so top and right hand spin. The idea being that that's going to straighten up the cue ball as it comes across. It's going to the long rails on both the right and the left of the table and then come back out for the 4. That's the idea. Let's see what the execution is like. And overcut that quite a lot. So not left anything simple for Luis. He may just play a safety here, try and hide the cue ball. Yeah, just pulled it back very nicely behind the 9 and put the 3 down there behind the 10. So I'm just looking at the diamond system here. If I were to play towards the 4th diamond, which is the one behind the side pocket, if I play that from the middle of the short rail here, the cue ball should find the middle of the short rail at the other end of the table. So I need to play that same aiming point but with a little bit of right hand spin because the line will just take it forward and hit the 10 otherwise. So I do need to make the allowance by using a bit of spin to widen out that angle. And medium sort of pace. I managed to catch the 3 on the left, but it's come back up the table, and this is sitting pretty now for Luis. You can just drop this in and probably roll forward and get the 4 in the bottom left. And he can just do a stun shot here and leave himself on the 5. Get quite straight stop shot on the 5, you'd have the perfect angle on the 6. The 7's just waiting to be dropped in the side, and then the 9 and the 10. So I think this could be the first rack to Lewis if he minds his work and keeps control of the cue ball. Of course, we do know how easy it is to lose shape. Doesn't take much. You've got to keep your concentration high, no matter how apparently easy the shot is that you face with. That's looking good. And he's got a nice angle to play with a bit of left hand spin to come close to the 9. Get good shape, so he can get good shape again on the 10. That's not ideal. Yeah, he's gone a bit flat. Yeah, indicating where he actually did want the cue ball. A bit more of an angle, would have been easier to get up the table, so below centre striking here. And this is what you call the 50-yard line shot. It's makeable, but it's certainly not easy. Needs good cueing. And he's played it with spin, and he played it slowly, and the cue ball spun out. Ended up overcutting it, and he's dressed it up nicely over the pocket. So these are the sort of 10s that you like to get, especially out in the blue when you thought your opponent was going to run out. So I get a chance to steal the first rack off to an early lead. Just a bit of top, keep your head down, follow through. And breaking, winner breaks, rack 2. So I've got one of the second row balls, the target ball's in the side pocket. In fact, 2, 4, 6, 8, I've got 2 balls down, but no shot on the 1. And I don't really like moving the 1 from here. You could try a ridiculously thin cut, get it up the rail, very dangerous. But any other attempt, so if you're trying to thin edge it off the right or hit it full in the face, I'm not sure I'll get it safe, so I'm just looking at where to push out to here. And in the end, I think I'm looking at going between the 2 and the long rail and just trying to leave him somewhere there, maybe by that middle diamond of that side cushion, the lower half of the right hand long rail. Did consider pushing out to a jump shot, but the idea with the push is that you're trying to put it somewhere that your opponent doesn't like the look of it, but you have a cunning plan to get an advantage from wherever you push to, so you don't mind if your opponent puts you back in. But the second part of that, having a cunning plan, I'm not really sure about. I think if I were to push it out to where I described, I can then probably play a safety using the thin edge of the 1 and right hand side to get the cue ball all the way around that top half of the table and then come back down towards the 5. Yeah, so decision made. Just grazed in the 2. And Lewis is going to take this. He went forward quite positively. Let's see what he does. Okay, so he's using the 8 and the 10 to hook me. Nice shot. I'm looking at the diamond system once again. If I'm in the middle of the table, exactly in the middle, if I were to play the middle diamond on that left hand long rail at the top half, I should hit the centre of the short rail. So I'm just going to just slightly past with a little bit of right. I got full ball contact, and that's finished quite nicely. I've hooked him back. Well, what a kick this is. Phenomenal shot from Luis. Made the one, he's got the two very nicely shaped up now. Probably just drop this in and take a long four. Oh, what's he got in mind here? He's calling cross side bank. And I think this will go past the 8. But I'm thinking more along the lines of safety. If I push the 4 towards the middle of the short rail and then follow forward, I will kiss the 8. Depending on what sort of contact I can get, I can maybe nudge it up the table and remain behind it. That's what's going through my mind here. It's not a combo. No way you can really make it into one. That's 4 onto the 8. So you're back to plan A. Just pushing the the 4 ball down towards the middle of that rail. Nudging the 8, trying to stay behind it. Well, I've not got the hook, but the 4 ball's safe. And he's playing a safety back at me. Got the right hand side there, trying to use the 7, 8. I think he's got it. Easy enough to hit, kicking this off that long rail, but as always, it's about getting it safe. It's not about just hitting it. So I call the top left pocket. I'm hoping to catch it in such a way that I could cut it along that top rail. Got it too thin in the end. I call the 9. Nicely done. He's got a cut here. He can get down the table for the 5. Trace of right hand English. Oh, he's caught that a bit thick, but maybe he's got cover. Yeah, I'm tree topped over the 5, so awkward queuing. And I'm not quite sure I can hit enough of it to cut it in, so I'm going to try and play cushion first and pot it that way. But tough to put spin on. You'd really want to play this with left hand English, so because I'm jacking up, any attempt at spin is going to really swerve the cue ball, so just going to try and play with top, playing top, and get rail first if I can. Get the 4 ball in the top right. Well, I went straight into the 4 and got lucky. The 10 balls come to my aid. Going in the bank, bottom left. It's a kick actually, not a bank. But it's left it. This is cuttable. It's mighty fine though. And I'm not sure I like it. I think I'm going to play this with left hand English to kill the cue ball. Hit the right hand side of the 4 and bank it over towards the 5. Cue ball should hopefully be somewhere in that corner of the table on the bottom right. maybe leave him a bank, but shouldn't leave anything else really. Possibly a very thin cut to the top left. I'll hit that for a little heavy, but it's a good cue ball. I think he's just going to try and drop this in the left side pocket. Yeah, that's what he's calling. He's going to try and collide with the 5, yeah. He's left a chance here. I can attack, but I'm more favouring the safety. Just banking the 4 down towards the 5, and then you've got that line of 3 balls. The 7, the 8 and the 10 to hide behind. Quite a big margin for error. Easy enough to hit, but once again, it's about getting it safe. He's calling the 5. And you can see what he was trying to do. Nice attempt. So I'm playing the bank, as I said here. I'm going to draw back off this 4 ball. Get the cue ball down somewhere near the short rail. I will have a shot on the 5. If the 4 goes in, if not, I might get safe, depending where it hits on the rail. Well, that's very fortunate. I've got cover there from behind the 7. You need to make the most of this good rolling because it won't stay like that, that's for sure. Little swerve bank. Oh, he's missed it. And this is a wonderful opportunity now. So I want to get on the left-hand side of the table, so I've got a simple shot to play the 5 and just come out of one rail to the centre of the table for the 7 in the left centre. So I'm going to push this in and follow forward, make sure I hit that left-hand long rail. But I've not done that, and I've actually half hooked myself behind the 7. I made all the shots. That was so careless. Can you believe it? I'm looking for a bridge so I can do a delicate little swerve. So yeah, the choice of shot was probably the wrong one in hindsight. If you're playing a line where there's a red zone and you're going to have a chance to finish behind an intervening ball, maybe you should take another shot. Or execute it better. So I only need to swerve a tiny little bit here. So I'm trying to play very softly with a lot of rights and got a bit lucky there. The double kiss knocked it in. Now I feel like attacking again here, but I don't like the bottom left. I'm thinking if I were to play this in the bottom right, it's a lot thinner and the cue ball's going to run round off 3 rails. If it drops the 7, I may have the 8 in the left centre, or possibly even get the cue ball up behind the 10. So let's see how close I can get with the cut here. Quite a lot too thick. And it could have been worse. I have left him a shot, but he's very thin and he's going to have to play with a bit of spin, I think, to check the cue ball. Stay on the 8. But he's not interested, he's just played a safety. But he's not quite got the hook, and so I'm looking at a very thin edge on the right hand side. chip the paint off that 7, get the cue ball round off 2 rails, possibly the 3rd rail being the short rail at the bottom of the table here. Got a good chance if I can cut the 7 behind the 10-8. I may get the hook, but I want to get distance and I want the cue ball on the bottom rail. And you don't catch them much finer than that. Actually, it's a bit thinner than I intended, hence I've overhit the pace of the cue ball a little bit, but I've got the hook. And Lewis is trying to swerve round the 8 and flick this 7 in the top right with a lot of right-hand English. Well, he's missed, so ball in hand. And this is a gift now. I've just got to play 2 rails off this 7. That's the line I want the cue ball to take off the long rail. So something like 3/4 ball shot with top and right-hand English. Got to be careful because that 2nd rail really takes the English, and so however hard you hit it, the cue ball will speed up once it hits that 2nd rail. Unfortunately, I got the line just about right, so even though it ran on more than I wanted it to, it just ran in towards the 8 along the potting line. So just got to draw back 2 inches for the unmissable 10. And this will be 2-0 beyond the hill. I'm breaking with a chance for 3-0. So that great safety shot actually won me that game. Yep, that's the one thing, you've got to find your moments to play good safeties because they will reap dividends. Anything down? Looks like it's dry. The 1 is available in the side. And I think he can get up the table towards the 2. It's a big 8 ball he's got to avoid. He's done well stunning that across there. He's created a lovely angle. He could probably play 2 rails left hand side for the 3. Oh, he's collided with the 10, so that's stymied his plans. He's going to have to play rail first. And looks like a safety here, just bottom and left hand spin on the cue ball. Bank the 3 back into the centre of the table behind those 4 balls. Get the cue ball up there behind the 10 and the 8. So trying to find the gap between the 8 and the long rail. Yeah, just going up there, just having another little look. Where do you want the cue ball? So at first I was thinking to go between the 7 and the 10, but when I got down I think I'm going to try and play outside that 8 ball on the right. I've collided with the 8 ball and that's got even tougher for Luis. Knocked him up behind the 10. So kicking 2 rails here. Oh, he's missed it. So I've got a ball in hand again. He is on 2 fouls here, but I think I'm going to go for the run out rather than trying to get him in the snooker. If I go above the pocket line with that 3, I can play with a bit of bottom and left, come round 2 rails along the line that I'm pointing at. So the cue ball's path will take it towards the potting line of the 4, give me a bigger margin of error in speed control. And with this, sometimes I played these with a bit too much bottom, so make sure it's only stun and left hand side and not draw. I quite like that. I do have an angle here. I can stun this 4 in the top left, find the left hand long rail, and then need to get back across towards that right hand bottom pocket a little, so that I've got a cut on the 5. So it's a bit of a centre ball stun. I'm just addressing ever so slightly below centre there. As a consequence, I've took the pace out of the cue ball a little bit, so no shape on the 5. I have to take your medicine here and just play a safety. I think get the rest out, or the bridge as you call it here, and play a thin edge on the left hand side of that 5 ball as we look at the table. And the cue ball's going to come 2 rails, short rail, long rail, and up towards the 8 ball. If I don't cut the 5 too much, I should hopefully still get the hook. So you've got to catch it thin. And this looks pretty good. Got the hook behind the 10. Oh, he's missed the kick again. So, ball in hand. Get below the pocket line here, play with bottom and left. Going to try and come off that long rail on the potting line for the 6. I'll try and get as straight as possible, and then you can leave yourself an easy shot on the 7. But I'm just a little bit below the pocket line, so I want to try and draw back, but just a precise amount, so that I've got the cue ball just below the pocket line on the 7, so it's easy to transit up towards the 8 ball. You don't want to go past the pocket line on the 7, and then you've got to try and go all the way around the bottom of the table. And this would have been so much easier had I been straight on the green. But it's doable. It's just about speed control. And the draw shot is one of the harder ones to control, especially when you want to try and be very precise. And that's probably 1 roll of the ball too far. So this is quite thin. It's thinner than I wanted it to be. And what I should really do here is play this with deep draw and right hand side, so you get the cue ball to widen out. Or you could play it with draw and left hand spin, so the cue ball hits that short rail, it goes to the left and leaves you an angle on the 8. Whereas now that 5 o'clock striking on the cue ball I've done is actually going to put me in a hook behind the 10. So misjudgments. The shot choice was wrong, and the execution was also wrong. There would have probably been a way to strike the cue ball there and still get shape, but you've had to cinch the cue ball and draw away from the 7, get it over to the left first. So when it then hit the short rail, it would have killed the cue ball a little bit, because it had no backward spin. It just went down straight away, hit the short rail and came up and hooked myself. So got to get this kick. It's imperative. I'm trying to use the diamond system once again. But what I've done here, I've decided that in order to hit that 8, I've got to come lower than the middle diamond. So I've made one adjustment by moving the contact point. But then I double up and play with left-hand English as well. So 2 lots of compensation is slightly too much. So I've overcooked it. And that is ball in hand to Luis, and he'll gratefully accept that and take these 3 balls to get himself into this game. Playing this with top and right hand side, coming off 2 rails. Coming on very nicely for the 9 in the side. Overrun it just a touch, but he can just drop this in. Probably end up going past the potting line for the 10 in the side and get it in the bottom right instead. That's what he's got. So this 10 for 2-1. And Luis will be breaking the balls in rack 4. This race to 3. Where's the cue ball? Oh, he's scratched once again. The 7's fallen in. So I'm looking at playing 2 rails, I think, on this one ball. Go slightly above the pocket line. Play with top and left just to run round this angle. And once again, the cue ball will be approaching the 2 on the potting line. I'll be fairly straight in my approach towards it because then I can just draw back for the 3. And it's a little controlled draw shot, about a 14, 15 inches back. I don't mind if I get straight on the 3. A little angle is also not bad. Tricky thing with that 4, you've got the 8-9 just in the way to get on it in the top right. So you just have to be careful. Wasn't quite feeling that, just had to get up and reset. And I finished pretty straight. So much so I think I can draw between the 6 and 8. And maybe get the 4 in the top left or left centre. Well, I've hit it quite a bit too hard. Ended up knocking the 6 in. But this is a favourable angle and the cue ball will go all the way up towards the 5. Poor execution once again. That was a golden chance there to take the match. Got quite fortunate. Didn't leave him anything easier than this. He's playing the bank. And he's put that one on the top jaw. I think it opened up a little bit because he played it so slowly. If he'd have played it a bit firmer, he may well have got that. But this is cuttable. You just got to try and judge the speed to get the cue ball around 3 rails for this 5. And that's going to pull up short. Needed to be harder. Quite a lot harder. If I would have played it with a bit of left-hand English, that might have helped as well. So it's safety. I think I'm just going to try and bank this past the side pocket. Maybe get behind the 8-9. I've underhit it a little bit. Just caught the bump. Has it gone far enough to be safe? I think so. He's calling the top left. So he has a 2-way shot here. He could stun this. And if he gets the 5 close, he may get a hook behind the 8-9. Just rattled it. I think there's enough of this visible. I can do a cross corner bank. Just have to work out how to avoid the double kiss. And what I'm thinking is lots of left hand side on the cue ball. That will put a little bit of right hand side on the 5, which will help make this cross double. I should also keep the cue ball away. There we go. So this is a tough shot on the 10, but it's one of those that you've got to commit yourself and go for it. Play this with top and a tracer left hand side to get the cue ball above the 9. So I'll have a chance of it in either centre pocket or possibly the bottom pockets. Focus on execution. A clean stroke. Too thin. And I didn't get above the 9, stayed below it. And I've been a bit fortunate once again. That's gone beyond the point at which you can cut it in, so probably just play safe here, Luis. And tempting me, there is a bank available. I play this with a bit of bottom and right hand English, I think. So I'll be hitting the fairly thin. Has made the bank, and it's another one of those shots you've just got to commit yourself here. I'm just waiting for Fran to get out my eye line. He's blissfully unaware I was about to take that on. So yeah, just try and roll this in, not too hard. Caught it too thick. And I've left a chance for Luis. Once again, not easy, but it's one you would expect him to make. And he's missed the 9. Where's this going to finish? Oh, it's dressed up over the side. I can cut this in. And the natural shape is there for 3 rails to come round and have that 10 in the top right. So just focus on getting the pot here and your speed control. And this is going to come around nicely. So just run through the fundamentals once again. Lock that position in your mind, the contact point. No matter how simple you think it is, you must go through the pre-shot routine. And then put a nice stroke on this. Keep your head down. Smooth transition. And there we go. That's a 3-1 win. So please check out the channel for more from this tournament coming soon.